Three of my most anticipated games right now from Square Enix are, of course, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake, Final Fantasy IX Remake, and of course, Dragon Quest 12, but two of them appear to be stuck in development hell. I'm talking about Final Fantasy IX Remake, and now it's basically being confirmed by Yuji Horii himself that Dragon Quest 12 is right there alongside it. In a recent interview with XII, I need to give a shout out to Akira Sona for making me aware of this interview, so thank you so much. I appreciate that. I hope everybody watching this video appreciates that as well. If you enjoy JRPG news, top 10 videos, reviews, podcasts, all that good stuff, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn notifications to all. Now let's kind of delve into this interview. So Yuji Horii was in Italy earlier this month to participate in a panel at an Italian Comic Con. He sat down with a number of European journalists, including XII, and that's who did this interview. And I just want to focus on a few things from this interview here. Mostly talk about the upcoming Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake that has been announced. We have a release date for it. It is October 30th. Of this year, which I'm super excited for. Dragon Quest 1 was the first JRPG I had ever played, and I've been in love with that game since I was a kid. Every time I play it, I just feel like I'm at home. It gives me that feeling of going home for the holidays, spending time in your old stomping ground with family and the people you love, and it's just this familiar place to me that I always enjoy coming back to, and I can't wait to experience it in a new light. There's also hints in this interview that Dragon Quest 12 will be turn-based. So a lot of the people, when Dragon Quest 12 was first announced and was said to be having a darker tone and potential changes to the combat system, I do think there are going to be changes to the combat system, don't get me wrong, but I do believe, due to what was said in this interview, that it is basically confirmed that it is going to be turn-based. When asked what are the main elements that define the Dragon Quest saga for you, Yuji Horii said, "When I created the original Dragon Quest, I wanted to create a warm and inviting world. Since it was the very first title in the series, I aimed to make it easy for players to understand how to grow stronger and progress. When we make it clear what happens in a game and why it's happening, it generates excitement. I also believe that turn-based combat helped the series' success. Players who are not good at action games can beat the game if they try. In Japan, many children played the original trilogy, and even now, close to 40 years later, those memories have stayed with them. That's why I believe they'll enjoy the upcoming remake." So again, Yuji Horii is alluding to the fact that turn-based is a staple in the franchise, as everyone knows it is, and that it's most likely not going anywhere. XII then asked, "You've said that Dragon Quest 12 will adopt a darker tone than previous entries in the series. The mainline games to date have always maintained a near-perfect balance between light and dark, in true storybook fashion. Were there concerns from yourself or elsewhere in the development team that attempting a darker approach might jeopardize that tonal tightrope walk?" Yuji Horii's answer was, "The ongoing production of Dragon Quest 12 has been going through some difficulties. We're not allowed to provide you with anything except for the released information. All we can say is that people are working really hard and that we hope you're looking forward to it." So this really shows signs, like, this is not the only interview where Yuji Horii has mentioned that the development has been going through some difficulties, which leads me to believe that it's possibly stuck in development hell, kind of like what we've heard about Final Fantasy IX previously. They had a development team working on Final Fantasy IX for quite a while, and they ended up having to take that project away from them because it's just not turning out the way that they wanted it to. And I don't know about you guys, a lot of times when another team has to pick up the pieces from a previous team, what we end up with is like a bit of a mess. So I'm definitely more nervous about Final Fantasy IX Remake because we know that this has been juggled between multiple teams at this point. Whereas at least with Dragon Quest 12, yes, there have been some difficulties in development, but it's at least still in the hands of the same core team that has been working on the Dragon Quest series for a very long time. I do have faith and confidence that Dragon Quest 12 is still going to be a great game. I just don't know when we're gonna hear more about it. There's also more details in this interview, like RPG Site asked, you're currently developing Dragon Quest XII and also the remake of Dragon Quest 1 and 2. You're involved in the origins, the present, and the future of the Dragon Quest saga all at the same time. What do you envision for the future of the saga and how it can evolve? To this, Yuji Horii replied, I believe that role-playing, experiencing someone else's life, is one of the best forms of entertainment. Video games allow you to immerse yourself in characters and make it easier to empathize with them. You can take your mind off real life, immerse yourself in a protagonist, and enjoy what's happening in the game. With developments in technologies such as AI and VR, we hope to make the world of Dragon Quest more realistic than ever. My guess is they're using AI to kind of like sharpen some of the graphical quality in the game. I know I've seen like video footage of people using AI to sharpen up and clean up classic like PS1, PS2 era JRPGs, so they could be using like machine learning to actually like sharpen up some of the visuals in the graphical department. I've mentioned this before, I would also love to see them release Dragon Quest VR outside of like the arcade system. Dragon Quest VR was an incredible experience, one of the greatest experiences of my life, and I would love to see that come to like PlayStation VR 2 or MetaQuest or whatever the Steam equivalent of VR is. Bring that game home, man. People want to play it, or bring like a sequel or a spiritual successor to that. Kind of like they had that plug and play Dragon Quest Kenshin and eventually put out Dragon Quest Swords on the Wii back in the day. I would love to see another Dragon Quest VR game, or at least see Dragon Quest VR come home. Yuji Horii also alluded to the fact that he would love to see the map trading from Dragon Quest IX come back in some type of way, or evolve it in some way. RPG Site asked, one of the game systems I remember from Dragon Quest series is the map sharing system. Although it wasn't used as widely abroad, I know it was very popular in Japan. To which Yuji Horii replied, you're talking about Dragon Quest IX. In that game, you could share a treasure map you found with other Nintendo DS players. The map gets the name of a player who found that map, and there were many players whose names became popular all over the country for making valuable maps. We made Dragon Quest IX hoping that this would happen. Many players went outside with their DS, embarking on a scavenger hunt for the treasure maps. The way that the virtual world extended to the real world was fascinating to see. In the future, I want to create something like that again, changing its shape and evolving it. They also talked a little bit about Yuji Horii's history as a manga artist and manga writer. Yuji Horii brought up the fact that he originally wanted to be a manga artist, but then he realized he could tell just as good a story in video game format, and that people ended up falling in love with his storytelling. But they did ask what type of manga he wrote, and he said all kinds. I wrote stories about time travel and short comedic skits as well. And then Yuji Horii actually showed a picture on his phone of a double-page spread of one of his manga, which is kind of cool. Important to note, RPG Site asked if Yuji Horii had played Clair Obscur Expedition 33, to which Yuji Horii said that he has not heard of the game, so I kind of hope he gets his hands on it and checks it out. RPG Site was kind of mentioning the battle system and how they kind of evolved the turn-based format a little bit. It'd be kind of cool to hear Yuji Horii's thoughts on that battle system and Expedition 33 as a whole. Maybe this put it on his radar, I'm not too sure. He's a pretty busy guy. And then the last question of the interview, RPG Site asked, I'm curious to know your structural strategy for making an interactive narrative. How do you feel the turn-based battle system gameplay complements the narrative and characterization, and vice versa? Yuji Horii then replied, I think both are important elements and complement each other well. For example, the calm you feel when you arrive in town after winning a battle. Most importantly, I value how players' actions and decisions can affect the development of the story. I really like pranking people, and I'm always thinking about how to surprise players. One of my first computer programs was a fortune-telling program. It was made with just input and print functions, so it's not really fortune-telling. One day I invited my friend to my house and let him try that program. I always knew he was coming, so I preloaded his data into it and made it seem like the computer knew everything about him. He was really surprised and I was thrilled. That feeling of delight excited me, and I've been interested in game development ever since. It's kind of cool to see, like, a lot of the stuff Yuji Horii sees as important in his games is the same stuff that appeals to people like me. like that sense of calm after getting your ass beat while trying to make it to the next town, and then that sense of relief once you finally get to town, and then the ability to explore that town and meet all the townspeople who are undoubtedly going to say different things depending on what point you are in the story. That's something that's always been a great asset to the Dragon Quest franchise. It's what makes the worlds in this franchise feel alive, and one of the main reasons I absolutely love this franchise so much. Anyways, if you enjoyed this interview, you can get the full interview on rpgsite.net. I hope you guys enjoyed this information. What are your thoughts? Do you guys think Dragon Quest XII is stuck in development hell? Do you think we're still going to get an excellent game at the end of the day? What are your thoughts on the Final Fantasy IX remake? Are you as concerned about it as I am? Final Fantasy IX and Final Fantasy IV are my favorite Final Fantasy games in that series. I'm really hoping for the best when it comes to Final Fantasy IX, but man, I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't have some extreme doubts on what that game is going to end up like. I do think we've got some hints at what the graphics are going to look like based on the pre-orders for the new figures that have come out for its anniversary, but I don't think we're going to get any information on Dragon Quest XII at least until next year at this point, and I don't think we're going to get Final Fantasy IX in time for its anniversary, unfortunately. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy JRPG news, reviews, top 10s, and podcasts, please remember to like, subscribe, turn notifications to all, and I will see you guys in the next one.